Now. So welcome everybody. Welcome to Artist Talk on Art. This is part of our virtual programming in reaction to the virus and not being able to be together. But what we're finding nice is we're coming together from different places. We're not having to travel and we're seeing old friends. ATOA is a 501(c) nonprofit. We make a dent with our initiatives. If you support us, that helps us too. What we're doing tonight and what we started, we have several different programming models with the ATOA. Very traditional talks like we've always done are hosted sometimes through Jitsi, and we have programming coming in about 2 months. We just finished 2 days ago our last panel. But then we have this programming, a little more informal, sort of every Monday night we gather, different artists share. We share about our art experiences, and also anyone else will share about their experience in the arts or what they like. I found it to be a lot of fun. What makes it great is everyone's participation, and seeing other artists work is an exciting thing. Somehow it gives us different perspectives. It's also a practice in talking and dialoguing about your art. We're all painters maybe or sculptors. We know how to work in the physical, but how do you explain that to somebody? And you never can explain it completely, obviously, but to be able to make it so you don't go, oh, look at that corner, that, it can be very hard to explain art. So without further ado, welcome everybody. I'll just sort of randomly go around and we'll start with people. Yes, not everybody's in their studios, but again, art is in your home. Shall we? We have started with you, Michael. Do you mind? We'll just jump right back to you, Michael Krasowitz from Huntington, Long Island. And go ahead, Michael. We look forward to you sharing about your art, your past, your future, anything you like.
Well, can I do share screen? Can I do that would that work?
Or, yes. If you know how to do it, on the bottom there are ways to do it. Take your time.
Says share screen.
Okay, so I'm going to try to expand this. This is just my Instagram feed, and I can you guys see the images?
Yeah, that you did today.
This is what I did today.
That's right. I saw that.
Oh, cool.
Without.
Over the years, for the I kind of go in. I like to do like I like to work very spontaneously, and I do. In the last year or so, I've been doing a painting a day. I used to do painting in layers, underpainting and glazes, and very complex structures. And the painting could take a month or 2 months to work on. So a few years ago, I was looking for a way. I was trying to figure out a language where I could make a painting very quickly, loose brush strokes, no underpainting. And I kind of, over the last year and a half, I developed this process of painting. So the big part of what I do is that I make the paintings and then I put them on social media. So I'm interested in creating kind of a consistent dialogue between myself and the audience, whatever that is. So by doing these kind of loose paintings, I'm able to publish them quickly. I consider publishing, putting them on the internet, Instagram, Facebook, any social media, to kind of create a dialogue between myself and what I'm revealing in my work, and kind of just this audience. I don't even who's looking at it. Sometimes I'll do Facebook ads. Like today, I took this image, and I'll pick a city, and I'll post it to a specific demographic in a specific city. So I'll do like one day I'll do Mexico City, and I'll post it to Mexico City. Today I posted it to New York. Each painting is, I work within this construct of the initial line work. I'll try to resolve the initial line work for the most part. I try not to get caught up in messing with that too much, because then the painting just goes on forever. I can't resolve it in the time I allot to paint it. So these are just a few of the most recent ones. This is one of my older paintings. This is the more structured painting with the underpainting and the glazing. And so this is like 7 layers of paint. So I'll do underpainting, grisaille underpainting, glazing, reestablish the highlights, reestablish the shadows, another layer of glazing, and build up the painting that way. This is an example of my printmaking work. I was originally started in photography, and then I went from photography to printmaking, and then from printmaking to painting. So I spent many years doing monochromatic, many years of just doing black and white work before I even attempted color. There's another print. The lino cuts. This is another form of printmaking. This is a ATOA color makes a thing called carborundum gel that you can apply to a surface and then use wax crayons. And then the wax crayons acts as a resist. When you print it, you can ink it, and then wherever the wax crayon is, it resists the ink. This is from 2 weeks ago or something like that. Anyway, so I'll scroll through. This was a painting that was one of the paintings a day, and then I flipped it over, I turned it over, and because I didn't think it was working that well. So I'll go back and I'll pull some of these. I have so many canvases, and I'll pull them and I'll rework them. This is a state of a painting. It lasted a couple of days, and then I overpainted it, and I wish I had left it alone. Right. So and this is a sculpture. I've been working with ceramics. I was an artist in residence this last year at a local art space, and they gave me an opportunity to work with ceramics. This is one of those carborundum prints, plates printed. Barry, if I'm going too long, please just tell me. And
No, keep going. You're doing great. Keep going.
I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Where did you do the artist in residency?
You know, it's a local, it's called the Huntington, it's the Long Island Arts Council. What is it called? I can't even remember the name of it.
Arts Council.
The Art League of Long Island.
Oh,
and they offered residencies to 4 artists this year. It was great because I like to do ceramics. I was doing ceramics. One of my friends was a professor at a university, so I was able to do ceramics, and then that ended, so I didn't have a place to work. So primarily I've been working in the ceramics workshop. This painting was originally, this was a series I worked on where this was a black and white painting. I'd done for about 6, maybe 8 weeks. I just did black and white paintings, and then I started doing glazing over the top. So I like the stained glass kind of feel of that series. You can scroll down a few more.
Michael,
Yes.
do you name your pieces?
Not really. I resist that because my philosophy is I feel like I'm an explorer or a vessel. You know, I mean, you've all probably had this thought that the work is kind of channeling through me. And if I title it, it's more my interpretation or my guess as to what I'm trying to say. My idea is that something is trying to come out. I don't want to put too much conscious intention into the information that's coming through the image. I think of conscious intention as more as ways to resolve visual aspects of the process of making the painting. So if I put a title on it, it's more like just me trying to understand my interpretation of what it is. I actually like other people to give titles because their titles are usually better than my titles anyway. So this is what the underpainting would look like. This was that series where I was just doing the black and white work.
Thank you.
And then, you know, I do different sizes. This painting is probably like 50 by 60 or 40 by 60 or something like that. I paint large whenever I can afford to buy a canvas.
Michael, you like cubism.
I think, you know, I think of it as we take all the different elements and bring them together. I think of it, I'm listening to, Jerry Saltz has a new book, How to Be an Artist.
That's so good, is it?
And he mentioned something. I used to say it, that mine is like psychological impressionism. But then he made a thing about, no, you can't really take two things and put them together. It's not really art if you're putting two genres and mixing them together. So I dumped that idea because I always get intimidated by these guys.
I just beware, the history of art, music, and many things is taking two things from the past and bringing them together. Jerry Saltz says a lot of brilliant things. And he also says maybe a lot of not so brilliant. And I would say, whenever you're fearful of something, be careful. Sometimes the fear is a block to something, because your work looks brilliant. You've got a great variety. I guess the obvious question is the earlier work where you spend more time compared to the newer work that captures more of your energy. Do you have a favor for doing the newer work? Do you miss the older work? Are you achieving? They're very different. And you achieve both things very well, but they are different.
Yeah, I sometimes I'm thinking about that lately. That that the other, it's interesting because I'm trying not to put the constraints on it like that. I understand what you're saying. I think that what I'm getting, the results are interesting, but I do kind of miss the discipline of the old work. That I feel like some of the older things had they resonate for me now. I guess, you're looking back at things. I have stuff on the wall that's 30 years old, and I'll go back and look at it, and it'll be like, oh, there was something to that. And I don't know. It's a good question. I don't really have an answer. But I've been working in this style for a few years now. So it's like trying to remember your childhood. I say, okay, that's what I did when I was in my 30s and 40s. And now this is what I need to do. And maybe I'll go back, and I'm looking for something to show you that's related to that, because I paint clothing. So this was kind of like something I've been working on. I hand paint different outfits, shirts and pants and things like that. And that stuff tends to look like the older work, where I still work from a line drawing and then start working into it. Whereas, and I've tried to, this is more like the medium style here, where I was trying to loosen up the drawing on the clothing. But when the clothing, I still like the figurative, mainly because I think that it's one of those things where my audience seems to like those better, or they respond to them more. That's more the.
Very nice, Michael. Anybody have any questions for Michael? And Michael, if you could take that screen off, or at least I have that on full. Any other questions for Michael? Thoughts?
No. He is prolific.
Yeah. How do I, I'm not exactly sure how, that's what I'm always worried about. How do I get rid of this? Oh, stop share. I got it. Stop share. Okay. Yeah.
Very nice. That really, you are prolific. I mean, to do a painting a day, is that oil painting or acrylic?
Oil.
That's oil painting. Where did you study? I mean, you have such strong formal skills. And by the way, you gave a very strong formal presentation about your work as well, if you noticed. This is interesting. Where did you study and learn to paint like so well?
It's funny because I studied photography originally. So my background is in photo history and I studied RIT in photography. And then when I was in school there, they wanted us to, break. Photographers tend to be rigid. They tend to stay in the rectangle. So to get us out of that, I started printmaking, and was in the printmaking department and soaked in as much as I could there. And I didn't start painting until many years later. And then I went to different local academies to study. And I was very curious about materials. So when I started painting, even in the schools, they teach, your color palette. You're not doing underpainting and glazing and things. So I went back and I studied fresco painting. I found a teacher at Kremer Pigment that taught fresco. And then I learned, I was at the New School and I studied Fayum's and the encaustic painting. So I kind of went that way to learn painting. So it was more, that's where the formal structure came from. Anyway.
No, thank you. Thank you. It's very nice, very interesting. Elaine Weinstein, would you like to, I'll hand the mic to you, so to speak.
Okay, let's see. Last time, Linda, I put a few things on my desktop, and I'm going to see if I can bring it up. I was supposed to have the show at NoHo, which didn't happen, and Michael was supposed to photograph my work. And that didn't happen, so I ended up photographing it myself. So let's see if I can do this. Yes or no? Close. I don't know. Let's see. Let's try this. So if I do this and then go down here.
Lawrence, where are you from?
I live in Brooklyn. Originally from New Jersey. Via Texas. Well, I'm not going to steal.
Okay.
Okay. So I did a series of 5 cans of Dr. Brown's. And the reason I did this was because I was fascinated. I'm from California. And I love the little emblem on the soda can. So this says Ice Cream Parlor, New York. And it's root beer. But I was recently in a deli and I ordered a cream soda. I'm going to take this off. Can you see that in that little ice cream parlor thing?
Yes.
In the middle? I was in a deli and I ordered a cream soda, and the man who was waiting on me, I said, "Oh, I'm painting these cream sodas." And he said, "I've been working here 23 years. I never noticed the can." So let's see if I can screen share here. Hello. Okay. So here's the Statue of Liberty on the Dr. Brown's cream soda. Can you see that?
Yeah. I never noticed it either, and I drink Dr. Brown's.
There you go. But when before the quarantine, I ran over the Brooklyn Bridge every morning. So I consider it, my bridge, and I see her in the harbor every day. So that was that. And let's see, we've got this guy here. Preview. Oh, it's on preview. And then I go,
Central Park.
Can you see? You can see it.
Yeah, yeah.
Great. Okay, then one less step. So I love the carousel. And if I get rid of that one, let's see. Hello, goodbye. Here. Did I do that?
Yeah.
Ice cream parlor?
Ice Cream Parlor, New York.
Got it.
Do you have Selway soda there?
Yes, here it comes. The Brooklyn Bridge.
Oh my God, I never knew.
And a lot of people say their grandmother kept celery in the refrigerator. So that, so I had done that series.
Right.
Did I cover them all? It's interesting. I think and I was going to show you also something that I did last week. I'll move you over here. Okay, I'll move you back. So these are some Chinese brushes. Oh, can you see that?
Yes.
Oh, it said it's up. This is acrylic. It's about 3 feet, 2 feet by maybe 3 feet by 4 feet. I just needed to do something a little free. And so that's pretty much what I will show you.
Very nice.
Okay.
How was the beach, Elaine?
The beach, Venice? What beach?
I'm kidding, because the background shows.
We see a photograph of your husband and son, maybe?
No.
Yeah.
What do you
On the
see?
beach.
Oh, that's my son and my husband. Yeah. No. That's my desktop. So let's see. How do I get back on?
I shouldn't have said the word.
How do I get back?
At the very top in the middle.
New share. No.
You see where it says phone number up there? You see at the very top where it says you are viewing screen or something? You can just get out of it there.
Yeah, there's a little round circle with a dot.
A little round circle with a dot. Remote control. More?
No, it says you're viewing Elaine Weinstein's screen, and it must be that little red thing that you press. And
I found
There
it.
we go.
Is that it? Yeah. Thank you.
I like the technical support team chiming in together. That was definitely hive mentality. That was,
Roberta, we never knew of your talents, Roberta.
I know.
I do get very warm when I have to do this.
I love it. I love the soda things, and that's now I'm going to go look at them.
Right. So I was hoping to serve them at the opening. You know, I thought that would be like a coup.
Oh, that would have been fun.
Right.
Well,
Yeah,
when
you-
you have your opening, we'll all come down and drink the soda.
Great.
Just make sure we know.
Oh, I don't know that it'll ever happen, to be honest. You know,
All these years of drinking Subway soda, and I never knew what was on the can. Thank you, Elaine.
you're
I think part of the point is, Elaine, you point out that artists look maybe a little more closely. The other person, you know, had it for years, never looked at the can. That's part of going into the micro detail. We could be general thinkers, but we could do the plain, simple thing and look closely. And you did very detailed work. What you call the knock something off, quick, relax. It was very controlled and tight hand. Very well done. And all very fine work. And sometimes there's a meditation and a joy. Zooming
Elaine,
in
how
like
big
this.
were they?
They're 18 by 24 on canvas. I wanted to say that there's also the Astor Hotel, which is on one of them. I didn't bring that one up. I loved it because once I started looking at them, I realized how iconic they were for New York, you know? And it is, if you look up Dr. Brown soda, apparently it was a very Jewish thing because they didn't have, a lot of Jewish families use that particular brand, Dr. Brown's. They're kosher. And it was before Coke became so popular. It was Dr. Brown's. So,
Wow.
you know, I just love the fact that certainly because everything New York was on, including the Brooklyn Bridge. So.
Elaine, I have a question for you. So advertising seems to be, as far as interest for you, because last week, weren't you talking about Camel?
That's
Camel
right.
cigarette, yes. A lot of my work has always been product. I've done shoes, okay? I've done the shoes that share. When I lived in California, I lived in Venice Beach, and we had something called the Venice Art Walk. So artists would give a piece to this clinic, and they'd have an art walk. People would come through and see the work and bid on it. And I had some shoes in it, and then someone asked me to do their shoes. So I was known for doing a lot of people's shoes, including the shoes that Cher wore in Moonstruck. That movie, she wore these red, beautiful shoes. And I don't know much about shoes, but a lot of men, I painted a lot of men's shoes. I forgot the name, they're sort of fancy. But at any rate, so I do like commercial things with a twist. Maud Frisons, I've painted. Then people started giving me their shoes. These were my grandmother's shoes. Would you please paint them for me? Or my favorite sneakers. So I really did a lot of shoes. And then I
Nice.
said, I'm not doing shoes anymore.
That's great.
But it was a hook. You know, sometimes people are a brand. So,
Yeah. No, thanks for explaining that.
yeah. I should say that my background is I was a medical illustrator. So I tend to really like fine work, rendered work.
Okay. Barry, your voice is gone.
Yep. Sorry. Thank you, Elaine. Thank you very much. I'm practicing my ventriloquism act. We can almost do that. We can have one person do that and the other person speaks. Thank you. Very interesting. And, you know, just adding that little note where you came out of the medical influence. A lot of times I find with artists, not only do I want to know that, I want to know what art they did when they were very young. Because often, not all the time, but sometimes it plays a way in. Sometimes it's a reaction against, but it's always an interesting story. And artists usually have stories that go back to when they're 6 or 8 of what kind of work they did. Lawrence, welcome. Thanks for joining us here.
Thank you.
And I look forward to, we all
Yeah, let's
look
see.
forward
I'll
to sharing.
I'll share my screen. I'll give you sort of the 30,000 foot view. So let's see. Desktop one, I guess. Yeah. All right. If anybody can see anything yet. There we go.
There we go, Lawrence, quickly.
Okay. That's my Instagram. I'll start off at my website. So let's scroll up first. This sort of gives a general view. Some of the pieces I've worked on. And I'm going to scroll down to my salesman series. These are paintings of regional sales managers. So, and some people may have seen these. These were out in Governor's Island about 4 years ago.
What is the surface?
They're actually nickels. I brought out one just so you can see.
Oh, look at that.
They're
Wow.
great.
So I find pictures of regional sales managers. I do a Google search.
I love it.
I don't pay any, I don't care what they do, what they sell. They just have to have an intriguing image.
They do.
Do you come across them on LinkedIn also?
Not so much LinkedIn. I do more of like corporate websites.
Okay.
So these, as I was saying, they're relatively old, but it's like an exercise I do on a regular basis. So I'll show you some of the ones I've done recently. Let's scroll.
I have to look through that and see if there's anybody I worked for.
Yeah, I was very afraid when I was actually at this show that one of these people would actually come through the door. So this is one. That's another, because a friend of mine pointed out that I don't paint as many women as I should. And I was like, you know what, you're right. So this is a series I did called The Astronauts. These are small paintings, 10 by 10. I always like to have sort of a reference hook. I use mug shots of white men. So it's like it's sort of a narrow category. And then I scroll through mug shots, and then I find an intriguing face that I want to paint. And then I sort of put in a hat and make them write the word NASA or some aspect of NASA, or like the symbol N. And this one's a large one. This one's about 48 by 48. And if I'm going too fast, because I've seen these all before, please slow me down. So these have been done relatively recently. I'm working through some.
Just a little slower. Artists.
Okay, I'm sorry.
A little slower.
Yeah. So one of the things I've been doing as of late is I've been doing Facebook Live and Instagram Live, whereas I just start a painting and paint while people are watching. And it's interesting, it's sort of changed the way I approached the painting itself, because I was working through and then somebody would pop on that I knew from college and I get a little nervous, a little performance anxiety. It just sort of shifts So this was an older painting, about 4 months old. As you can see, it's sort of a deviation from what I've been doing as of late. 4 feet by 4 feet. It's a sort of a pet size. So scroll through these. And
Do you work in a oil?
Oil. There was a period of time when my daughter was born that I actually did work in acrylic, but it really, if anybody's ever done that shift, it's as if something snapped in your head, and your expectations and the deliverables are two different things. When you work in acrylic, it behaves in a totally different way than oil. You are painting, but you're really doing something that is totally different than the painting you've been doing before, which is good in a certain respect, because it sort of takes you out of your, what you ordinarily would expect, and opens up your mind. That's actually, that was one of the reasons that I did the nickel paintings, because from a technical standpoint, you can't do exactly what you want to do. Some things come about in the paint that surprise you, and you actually sort of run off in that particular vector. So it was really challenging and fun in that respect. So let's see, I did a diptych recently, very au courant. Let's see, actually I'll show you, sorry, I'm jumping around. So this one is part of a diptych. So roughly about 30, this is a 10 by 10. So let's see. And one of the other things I do also to keep myself sharp is I draw people on the subway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always good to have fun reference. My dad always taught me, he was a musician, that if you don't practice, you lose your chops. And you always have to keep on working and not sort of fall into your own wrist. You look at people, you do your drawing, you hopefully get better, or the bad ones become less frequent. So let's see, I'll scroll up some more. This was a segment that was done about, I collect antique mugshots, that was done by Voice of America. So that's what my name looks like in Russian. So this is one of my favorite tools. Since we're all artists, I could never find the tool, so I actually sort of made it myself. I call it the Franken pencil, because it has a very, very thick tip and it has a big eraser. There's really nothing on the market, as far as I've seen, that has two of those elements. Whereas, you may have like a big drawing tool, but you don't have a big eraser. And so I sort of made my own. Let's see how it's easier to look at them this way. So it's definitely one thing now that we're all in lockdown that I do miss, is getting on the train and drawing people. So you have to just hunt and find like whatever you can do to get out of your own head. So that gives a general view of my work. So any questions?
I have two.
All right.
First of all, you don't, do they know that you're using their face on these on these little nickels and your little, how do you?
Oh, never.
Okay, so could there be some sort of libel against you if they decide, well, I don't want anyone to see this, or no?
There's a 10% deviation rule. My wife was in the apparel field for a number of years, and I don't put it up online saying, oh, this is so-and-so's likeness. This is merely a reference point. And yeah, that somebody may have recognized themselves, but I think the deviation between them seeing it and living in the space, it definitely, as you can see, I thought about it, definitely.
Now, and then on the little nickel ones, you're talking about the coin, the nickel coin,
Yep.
right? Okay.
Yep.
So like, how do you get it to the paint? What do you put on it? What's the process?
What I do is I have a bench grinder in my studio, and I get like a pile of nickels, and a vice grip. And then what I do is I get a nice, first of all, I take down one edge. And the reason why I use a nickel is because I don't have to worry about any sort of verdigris coming up. So what I do is I grind down it and get a nice tooth to it, and then I gesso it, and then I sand it. And that, so far so good. Nothing's peeled up. Let's put it that way.
I love them. That's such a clever idea.
Oh, thank you.
Very nice.
How do you think that this current situation with the virus is going to? I mean, aside from you can't get on the train and draw, do you think it's going to affect your work going forward? Is it going to be a new group of people you're going to study?
Well, I've been thinking of it as a residency. It's because one of the things I was really complaining about before was I never had enough time in the studio. And now, I work remotely and I have all the time I can. And when I have a little downtime from work, I may be drawing out something. So I'm thinking is, taking full advantage of this. And then also going into, venues like this and getting feedback. Whereas I have occasional open studios, but not very often.
Where's your studio in Brooklyn?
It's in Prospect Heights. It's actually my wife and I, we own a 3-family. And so it's in the basement.
Well, that's great. They love
Oh
you
yeah,
too.
I am very, very lucky.
Any
Anyway,
other questions?
Well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And I will.
Thank you. I think I was able to actually take it off sharing from the.
Okay.
Thank you. Very interesting. Very nice. You have like almost. I want to ask you like Franz Hals. You have the expression.
Yep.
You do. You
I like
have
Franz
that,
Hals.
you could see that. I as well. The sort of mix of throwing the bat wings or the chicken feet.
Yep.
That little combination really pushes the work into another context. It makes it, surreal is a general word, but it really activates the work, I think. Very nice.
Thanks. Yeah, a lot of times, I don't know how other people do in relation to their work. A lot of times you'll have a concept and you sort of stop yourself before you think too much about it. Like before it moves into the left side of the brain and says, what does this mean? What is the meaning behind this? I consciously stop myself and I say, okay, chicken legs. Okay, chicken legs. I'll just put chicken legs. I don't know what it means in relation to the farm industry and, et cetera, et cetera. I don't go down that path. I stop. I say, okay, I'm going to paint this because it came to mind, but I'm not going to let it sort itself out until it's done.
It makes a lot of sense, and it addresses some thoughts we've had come up in other panels, using play and comedy, using your cerebral side, but not overweighting it. And it certainly opens up venues. I think the theme here is artists are trying different things, as they always do, as every artist, and you're finding different, you get different expressions from different approaches, even materials, acrylic versus oil. Drawing people on the subway is a lot of fun. It's challenging. Just like when you do graffiti, there's a breaking the law feel to doing it. When you draw someone, and I've done it, you're invading something. Are they seeing you? It's sort of a hidden sketch. There's a whole energy that's a little scary and exciting at the same time.
I'm a ninja when it comes to that. I never see it coming.
You have experience. Well,
You're
thank
welcome.
you very much. That was
Thank you.
very interesting. Thank you, Lawrence. Let's move to Robin. Robin, no? Okay, Robin. We're not going to move to.
No, I changed my mind.
Do you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
No, I will. I'm actually in my studio upstate, so I live in Brooklyn, and it's where I do most of my work. But here upstate, and I have a studio that that I haven't done much work in, but I have a few projects. So I want to show from here. But let's see, what do you want to know? Ask me a question.
Okay. Are you a member of the New York Artist Circle? Do I know your name?
I am,
Okay, so I recognize your name.
since it was at Mary Ann's.
Oh, me too. Me too.
But now they're probably doing them virtually.
We do it virtually this coming Thursday, I think, isn't it? Or, no, it's the 28th.
Anyway, yeah. So,
Let me ask you, are you working figuratively? Are you working abstractly? What are your themes, your storylines?
mixed media, abstract. So what I'll do is I'll take you through this place where I am right now in the studio. That has one piece that I've been working on for like 4 years, because I used to come up once a weekend, maybe. Since 4 years, I don't come up as often. I don't like to travel as much. But anyway, those are my excuses. So, but in the studio, it's like a retrospect because I have work from the 80s. I have one piece above me from college, which I loved, which is an oil painting. Wait, where? I can't even. Am I getting it?
You're
Yes.
getting it. You're getting there.
Yeah.
It was it was a painting that I did in college that I loved. And I kept it and I had it up in my studio here, and it's really nice to have up here.
Where is here, Robin? Where are you located right now? Where upstate?
Oh, in Accord. In Accord, which
Okay.
is near Lake Minnewaska, Mohonk. It's beautiful up here. So this is a piece that, this is really hard
Okay.
I should probably just share my screen with other work, but I don't want to. I want to be in real time.
Good.
Ah, there we go. Except you get things behind it. Okay, well, anyway, this is a piece that I went back into just recently since COVID, where I added these elements, but it's an encaustic that I did. And one of the things I've been working on lately is taking older work and reworking it. So this kind of fits into that category. And they usually a combination of abstract and landscapes. This has elements. There are flowers in here. Over here, it was a drawing that I what is it called? Transferred it through the wax. There's paper. I do work in a lot of mixed media. One of my favorite things to do is work on styrofoam. Are you done looking? Say yes or no.
Yes.
Good.
Thank you. So this piece is the one I just said that it's in 2 parts right now. I don't know. Let me see, maybe. Sorry about this. But it's all I can do. I mean, it's not all I can do. How do you... I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, yeah. It has a hole in it?
Okay. Let's get the light better. So this is part a part. Ah. It's on styrofoam, formed styrofoam. And it's about, it's 4 feet by 4 feet. And it's part of a larger sculpture. But this part is mostly about breathing, water, and am I making you crazy?
No, you're okay.
It's got tubes and
The glove.
the things.
Are those medical pieces and parts
Yes,
and related to what you're going through?
cannulas for breathing. And then there's some gloves, of course. And it's kind of a commentary on the oceans, but it also has a Jewish context when I put it all together with the other part of it, which I'm going to do right now. So this whole piece, which I'm still working on, oh, sorry, very awkward. This whole piece that I'm still working on is like a chariot. I don't know if you could tell. So, you see?
Yes, we can see. Looks very good. I see it.
So, I'm just gonna try to move around. So if you look through one side, you can see the other side in both cases. It's hard to explain. I mean, maybe it's not hard. So it's about angels and I don't know if I'm showing it. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes, we can see pieces.
I have no idea. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
We can. We see the pieces and the parts. Is that stainless steel in there in the middle, the metal?
Yes. So that part was from, so I was, 1 second, I've got to go sit down. So I was integrating Edison Light Company. They let you go to their Edison price lighting. They have their factory open in Long Island City, and they invite artists to come and take materials. And then they have a gallery where people create work and have a showing there. And a lot of people from Artists Talk on Art were at this show. So that was in this past year. I mean, not last year, the year before that. So last year I went, but they never had the show. So I still have all this metal. So I started making these little metal circles. Yeah. And various other, actually not that many things with it, but in there it's a piece from that. So if anybody ever comes back, which we will, I really believe that. I'm hoping to finish this in my lifetime.
Well, maybe it's that sort of hoping to work on a piece or a project you have in your mind or something in your sketchbook that you've never done that keeps an artist going, finishing a project and working on it. You made an interesting point that you loved your older work. Other artists have mentioned earlier work and how it was a great line, painting as memory. And I've always found that if I look at my earlier paintings, I can draw it to the moment when I did it. And it's like the neural network just works right away, and I can experience myself at 16 or 32 or whatever age. The paintings not only carry the memory of when I painted it, but they often carry the stories around them. And when you collect art, the art actually tends to carry even more of a story almost, because it's a friend you know, and it has a long, detailed story of how you got it. There's an interesting whole trail. Thank you very much for sharing, Robin. Any questions for Robin? I think that was very nice and certainly inspiring to see your energy.
Thank you. Elaine looked like she was about to say something, but she's muted. You're muted.
There's a lot of rustling sounds out there, but the work was really interesting. It's certainly creative. Styrofoam. It's also, as coming from a medical illustrator, I can get a lot of the psychology behind the creation of what you're going through and how you've collaged everything on. And it's interesting. I wish I could have seen more of it. I think we've just seen the top part of the chariot. Is that what you called it?
Yeah, and actually I can share my screen where I have photographs of it. I don't know if you want me to do that.
Maybe next time you can do that. That would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a regular Monday gathering. The artists who come regularly, you get to go a little more in depth and talk about something different. So that was very nice. It is hard to, any three-dimensional object, a great photo is not going to do it justice in any way. A video goes a long way, but it's quite different. It's very hard to capture.
I know, you just want to be there. You have to live with it. You have to sit with it. It's artwork in general. I have a hard time with virtually seeing it. So in terms of art, I think it's the hardest thing to really get the feeling of it.
I think you're right. I think that's a critical point. And like music, how would you tell somebody what music sounds like without them hearing it? You could do a description, but it's not the same. And art, we all try and maybe come up with a title or an explanation. The art is the explanation. The art is the language. Anything else is either feather bedding or trying to add to it. Maybe that's just a strong opinion, but the art actually, if somebody says to an artist, what do you have to say about your painting? The painting says it, yes, but of course, there's a lot more dialogue as well.
The only problem is that they don't, the art market, the art public wants to hear that story or the name. And Michael, I really appreciate what you said about not titling your work, and the art is a language. But for some, I mean, why can't we just let it alone?
Well, I had a dealer trying to sell one of my paintings at one of these art fairs, and the guy was back and forth on it, and the dealer said, "Listen, if you have this in your house every morning, it's going to give you energy. You're going to look at it, it's going to give you energy. If you relate to it, and you're going to go out through the day, and you're going to keep that feeling in you." So it wasn't about a title as much as it was about the physical object itself giving the person that energy. And that's the way, I thought that was a really nice way to talk about the work. That feeling that it comes off of it is you're going to relate to that feeling, and you're going to bring it out into your day. So I thought that was I thought it was a really good way for a dealer to talk about work, as opposed to, selling it instead of thinking of it as a intellectual exercise, more as a presence.
It's a term I've used recently, maybe the last 3-4 years, to describe when I look at a work of art, the energy I get from it, the sort of energy transfer, the idea that as an artist, when I create, I'm transferring into the object energy, and then the viewer, their ability, or the object that I make, its ability to transfer back. But as some great works that I've seen, you just sense, a Van Gogh line on a tree, or if you saw, there are so many great works they're just so moving in a very big way. And it is, in a sense, if you think of physics and everything is energy, it makes a lot of sense. In a way, there was a movement away from all the energy of expressionism, but I know people collect the contemporary minimal strain of art that's out there, and what they get is that viewing that art stimulates their intellect and gives them an intellectual energy, sort of an intellectual heightening, a way to think, a paradigm. So it can happen both expressionistically with obvious energy, which we saw in many of the artists' brushwork and line, but it can also happen on one of the artists, that surreal mix that you did. It brings in some other things. You all have many tools in your toolbox, and thanks for sharing. I want to introduce a couple of the board members from the ATOA and let them talk about their experience in the arts. I'm going to start with Mitch Pilnick. He's a board member, and then we'll go to Peter, and then I'll do a short recap. And thank you all, of course. So welcome, Mitch, and say hi, and how are you?
I'm good. It's been, I am so blessed to be involved in the art world. I'm not an artist, but I certainly have that appreciation. And, I don't know what I would be doing right now if I didn't have that appreciation for art. So I've been busy and certainly tried not to spend a lot of time on TV. And I collect a lot of these little art cards from shows and open studios and all of that. And I used to have it up on a wall over my desk, but then it got, I had it painted and I didn't do that. So I decided a couple of weeks ago to do that. And I showed it to a couple of my friends. They were like, "Oh, that's really cool." So I'll show you what that looks like, if you can see it. Let's see. All right, let's try. Do we see?
Wow,
Yeah, that's a good look.
that looks amazing. It's on, you gotta turn your head. Turn it,
Oh, okay.
flip it.
Flip it.
There you go. Perfect.
better. So I tried to like even like, put it together as far as curated so that things are similar. And I was showing a picture of it to my daughter, and she goes, there's a Frida. Because I'm always like, oh, your favorite artist. All right, so that's that. I'm
Yeah,
back.
that was a very good hang, by the way. I was impressed.
Thank you so much. It's funny because Lori Horowitz, that Michael knows, she had a gallery. I lived on Long Island at the time, but I moved to Forest Hills. And it was a great place as far as meeting a lot of people, including Michael. And I really miss that, camaraderie and getting together every 6 weeks or so. But this Lori, I actually started off by doing, before she even opened it, there was a guy from the Art League of Long Island, Michael, David Hausler. He's since passed away, but a great sculptor, and he was his professor. He was a teacher at the Art League of Long Island. So anyway, he introduced me to Lori, and the first thing I saw was how she had done these photographs of Kings Park Psychiatric. That was all in decay, and I was like, wow, this is great stuff. And I really got into what they call ruin porn, which is, a curator had told me that the ruin means that these are in decay. The porn is that your eye is attracted to it, but shouldn't be. So it was very interesting how they termed that. And I was going to curate a show. I had brought together a lot of photographers that never came together, but it's thanks to Lori and other people like in the art community. So, it's been reflection. I've been able to do more on Instagram as far as my posts. And a lot of things that I had not gotten a chance to post, I've now gone back to it, and I'm doing those posts on Instagram now. So it's been a really good time, and certainly between social media with Instagram, just meeting new people, talking to an artist from Egypt over the weekend, just great stuff. So I've looked at it as a very positive, enriching time for me.
Nice to hear. You make a good point. Galleries as meeting points, artists seeing ideas, talking to artists, collectors, the whole link, that's disappeared. And seeing art in the real has disappeared. On the other hand, we try and do things like this, anything we can to fill gaps. You can learn a lot from, I've seen this on Monday nights. I get to see artists talk. I go right into your studios and I see your thoughts by seeing your work. It's not the same as seeing the work up close, but it gets a lot of content. So we're trying to fill gaps, but obviously you just think of all the exhibits you might see and all the exhibits people have missed that was scheduled 6 months ago or a year ago. It's challenging. Thanks for sharing, Mitch, and thanks for all your work for the board. Of course, Mitch has been a member of ATO's board 7 years, 8 years, long time, yes?
Yeah, I was going to say that, it's great. It's like, I haven't been able to come to the ones because I work and all of that. So coming to this, it's like, it actually made me feel a little better too, Barry, so thanks.
Yeah, no, it's good. And of course, in a way, it is easier. Peter, would you like to say a few words? Peter DeHaan is our programming director for Artist Talk on Art. He handles our programming. We just came off 3 talks in a row that were quite interesting. Different but similar themes. You can see everything on our website. I'm going to give him a sec, see if he wants to unmute and say hi. Otherwise, I'll do a little close up. Yep, he's coming on. So, Peter, welcome.
You just want to say hello to everyone and thank you so much. It was great seeing everyone's work and we love having this virtual community. And thanks a lot and see you next week and share it with your friends.
Thanks, Peter. Thank you.
Peter, excuse me, Peter. Are you there?
Yes.
Peter, I really, what was it, Saturdays? was really very enjoyable. It was a really different perspective on art that's not, in normal places. And one of the artists, I forget his name, he went to Catbox. Was that one? No, it was the one that was from Hunter. I forget his name. But anyway,
Yeah.
Peter or
The
something?
Pad Gallery. Yep.
Yeah. So because he said Hunter, and I thought of, because I mentioned to him during that, of Lisa Davis. And so I dropped her a note, and she was like, oh, she goes, that was so nice of him to say that. So it's like, things like that. Just I love to connect with people and network, and it was really terrific. Thank you very much.
Very
Thank
nice.
you. Well, thank you.
Very nice. That talk that he's referring to on Saturday, we had about 4 or 5 gallerists who did galleries in art in unique spots, like a microwave, a toaster, on a cat stand, in a bathtub. They took very creative approaches. And the way it was somewhat linked to our other talks were about alternative spaces, people using maybe their apartment, part of their apartment, maybe going outside in the street. So all these creative approaches to where do you exhibit, how do you break down the white wall, how do you recreate or add to it. And it was fascinating, to see the creativity in that last presentation. And at the same time, just like the artists today come from different ways, those artists in those presentations had different conceptuals, leanings that led them to similar visuals, but they were different. They definitely were. They had different practices and how they got there. I'll give just a little, I'll show something I've made here, but I do have some exciting news I'd like to share. This is a piece of ceramics that I've made. I don't think I shared this the other day. Often I'll use black, white, and red in my paintings of very bright colors, and in my acrylics, often a lot of other colors. But sometimes I'll go with these very simple themes. I sort of like this piece, has a nice feel, fun, and I got a little blistering, so I lost a little bit, and of course that gives it most of the interest there. I'll do a little decorating on the wheel as it goes around. Putting too much glaze on can be good, can make it drip and move. Of course, you never really know what you're going to get. With this work, it was more about intention and maybe quietness, whereas other works, maybe I'm just painting all over the place and on top of it in different days, so different approaches. What I am excited about is, as an artist, one of the big things and biggest problems is how do we deal with all of our art? You're making large works or any paper works. And so, like most of you, I've always had a problem. Where is it? Is it at a friend's house? Is it in my basement? And I've been through a lot of moves. But over this last week, I gathered work from New Jersey, Connecticut, and the South Bronx and brought it close to my home. And where I thought I was setting up a storage space of my art, then starts to look more like a studio and now looks more like a gallery. Because of course in my art is my art collection, and I used to be a gallerist. And somehow I've managed to get a place that may do it all, and no electricity, it's a garage, and it has a lot of possibilities for me, so I'm excited about it as not necessarily a hard venue, but by appointment and something I can use as a studio. So it's a big thing for me to see a lot of my older work that I haven't seen, and as artists, it opens memories.
Where is this state?
So this space is in Larchmont. I live in Mamaroneck. It's in Larchmont. It really is a garage behind a liquor store. It's got everything cool you would want. I could have lots of possibilities. It has a little bit of a MoMA PS1 boiler room look in one area outside. It's got edge. It's got all I want. It's a channel off of a main street that has a mural that nobody walks down this little channel, this driveway. So it's sort of hidden. We'll see what comes of it. But in the end, it was a great deal as a storage space, and as a studio, it's an incredible deal. Has no electricity. I can, but I'm thinking I use it as a daytime. I'm gonna start really simple with it.
Larchmont is such a nice town, and it's near Rye, correct?
Yes, New Rochelle, Larchmont, Mamaroneck, couple other places, then Rye, right there. Yep,
I used to go to Kenese Barnes.
sure. Denise is right in that area. I used to live around there. She's still around. A lot of our artists have presented at Artist Talk on Art. Yeah, so
Great.
well, I
Nice.
want to thank you all. Artist Talk on Art is about artists talking, so it doesn't happen unless artists share, and you all did that. I'd say become a part. Come again on a Monday. Check our website. It's atoanyc.org. We're a nonprofit. Most of the things, just about everything we do, we don't ask for any money. If you like to make a donation, it helps with our programming and whatever we do. But the best thing you can do, share the word, share it with friends, come, keep coming, and the other thing, be an artist. That sort of helps us without knowing it. Imagine if everybody on this planet was an artist. We'd have a very different world right now. So thank you all.
Oh, Barry,
Barry.
1 second, Barry. We forgot somebody. We've got Roberta.
Roberta left. So
Yeah.
I took care. Roberta's our treasurer. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you for sharing your work. I'm glad to see that Mitch
Thank
is
you.
feeling better. Michael, I'll see you on the weekend, I guess. I hope.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Okay,
everybody.
bye. Thank you, Barry.
My
Thank you.
pleasure. Thank you, guys. Guys, it was great.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.